Hello, I'm Neil Quigley and welcome to the latest episode of my Blogcast. Hope you're well and you've had a good couple of weeks. Mine have been fantastic. I did go and see the new Fall Guy film at the cinema with my girlfriend a couple of weekends ago. In fact, on release weekend in the UK. I said at the end of the last episode, I was a huge fan of the original TV series. If my memory serves me right, it used to be on ITV Saturday lunchtimes, and I absolutely loved it as a kid, was a massive fan of Colt Seavers and the whole show itself. I think I did see every episode at least a couple of times. Therefore, as you can imagine, I was very excited to see what they did with the new film version. I own a Fall Guy t-shirt that I bought about 7 years ago, which has the logo of the stunt association that the original Colt Seavers from the TV show was a member of, the Fall Guy Stuntmen Agency. I proudly wore that to the cinema to watch the new version. I seemed to be the only person there who was wearing any merchandise from the TV show or indeed the film, but I'll be honest, I didn't care. I was excited to see it. We got into our seats nice and early, so did see all the trailers for the upcoming films. Now, I have a slight confession to make here. I have never seen any of the Minions films. For whatever reason, just never got round to see them. I've heard they're very good. While we were waiting for our film to start, they showed a trailer for the latest Minions film, and it was only short, but I laughed out loud about 4 or 5 times, so I think I might have to see it. I think it could be quite good. As we were going out to dinner straight after the movie, I did not take any snacks in, so no popcorn to enjoy while watching the film. But to be honest, I was too nervous to see what they'd done with it to eat. In fact, I did bring in a bottle of water, which I hardly touched throughout the film. The new Fall Guy movie stars Ryan Gosling as Colt Seavers, and I must say, I think he done a fantastic job playing the stuntman. He got the tone about right, he got the humour in there, and he kind of got the demeanour and personality that I remember from the original TV show. They did change things around a little bit, as I guess they would. They didn't want to make it exactly the same. It's a new version. Jodie, who is played by Emily Blunt, in this one is a camera person, and then she goes on to be a director. Jodie in the original was just another member of the stunt team who lived and then worked with Colt Seavers in the world of stunts, and also as part of his bounty hunting team, where they used to bring in fugitives to make some extra money in between film and TV work. So that was a bit different. And the other thing was, in the original, Jodie was a lot younger than Colt. In this one, there are similar ages, and the relationship is quite different, I would say. The film, obviously, like the TV show, does include so many stunts. In fact, at the end of the movie, quite rightly, they make a big point of telling you the entire stunt team, and there's some behind-the-scenes clips and footage of these stuntmen doing their thing and interacting and moving between them and the actual actors. And bearing in mind that the star of the movie is a stuntman, I think that makes absolute sense. I'm very pleased with the way they did that. The stunts, as I said, are spectacular from start to finish. The storyline's good. It does kind of incorporate elements of the original TV show with the way it's set up, although it's not identical, of course. Being such a massive fan of the TV show, whoever made it has done a lot of research into those original programs, because all the way through the film there are little nods to the original series, just very tiny things, bits that I remember from the TV show, from the different episodes. They've all been included in some very small ways, and I thought that was a brilliant touch. Without wanting to give too much away, if you are a big fan of The Fall Guy like me, there are 2 amazing cameo appearances right at the end that made me smile and even get a little bit emotional. It was a beautiful moment. I thought the film was great. I would watch it again. It was fantastic seeing it in the IMAX, seeing all those stunts on the massive screen and with the sound effects they put to them as well. I will probably watch that film again at some point because I'm sure there's bits I missed that I would still recognise from the original. It was good. I really enjoyed it. They've done a fantastic job with it. And I think they've set it up for potentially a franchise, as they seem to do with most films. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a Fall Guy 2 and a Fall Guy 3 on the way. But it was brilliant. It was different. It wasn't done in exactly the same way as the original, but I like what they did with it, and they made it a bit more modern, and I guess in a way, a little bit more showbiz. But it was great. Loved it. Oh, and another thing, the soundtrack, really good as well. They got some great songs, including a reworking of the original TV theme, which for quite some time I used to have as my mobile phone alarm tone every single morning. We went for dinner at Prezzo, just next door to the cinema afterwards, and I had a smile on my face during all of my 3-course gluten-free meal in there. Brilliant Saturday night out. I am a huge fan of the theatre, and I try to get to see as many shows as I can. I went and saw a show I really wanted to see the other week with my girlfriend. It's the latest one starring Sheridan Smith. It's called Opening Night. It has, it's fair to say, received mixed reviews since it opened, and sadly they've decided to cut the run a bit short. I found all that out after I'd booked tickets to see it. She is one of my favourite actresses. I think she is absolutely brilliant at everything she does, and she is fantastic in this role. It's really demanding. It's really tough. She goes on an emotional roller coaster through it every night when she has to perform it. So it must be quite hard on her to do as well, because bits of what she goes through on stage, I think she's had similar experiences in her own life, which must make it just a little bit tougher for her to play the role she does. The whole cast are also fantastic, and it features music written by Rufus Wainwright. I saw him live at Glastonbury in 2007 on the Pyramid stage there, and he was brilliant. The songs are great all the way through the show. One thing I did find, if I'm honest, is it is very chaotic, and sometimes it's a bit hard to keep up with exactly what's going on. It's very fast paced, and it's the build up to an opening night where the leading actress in this new play is going through a very difficult time. They're also at the same time filming a TV documentary about the opening night. So they have big screens in the theatre, and there's video footage on the screens as well as what you're seeing. It's all cut together, and as I said, it builds and builds and gets very chaotic. Now I think what they're trying to do, in my interpretation anyway, is try and kind of bring you along with the struggles and the breakdown that Sheridan Smith's character has. It just kind of drags you in. I guess it's meant to sort of maybe play with your mind a little bit, and it does have that effect certainly, but at other points things are moving around so quickly it does get a little bit confusing to know exactly what is going on at all times. You kind of have to make a few leaps of faith and jumps yourself just to keep up with what is actually happening on stage. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. As I said, Sheridan Smith is just brilliant. There's one bit towards the end where she actually goes outside the theatre and comes in from the outside. Obviously, as I said, because of the live stream cameras they have for the TV documentary element, you see her on the big screens and you see her arrive back in the theatre for the actual opening night of the play. I'm glad I saw it. It's a shame I think it's coming to an end a little bit earlier than they planned. However, she will be back on the stage in London once again where she belongs, I'm sure, after I think she's got some more TV work to do first. She keeps herself nice and busy. I'm already trying to plan my next few trips to the theatre as well. Still lots of things I want to see. Some friends of my girlfriend and I got in contact with us about a month or so ago now because they'd found out that Kelly Jones, the lead singer from the Stereophonics, was doing an intimate gig at Alexandra Palace Theatre to promote his new solo album. The album was released a couple of weeks ago, and the idea of this night was he was going to play the whole album in its entirety with a stripped down band on stage. So as soon as they asked us if we wanted to go, we were like, yes, please, definitely. I'm a massive fan of the Stereophonics, and Kelly Jones himself, he's got such a great voice. He's such a lovely guy and such a cool character as well. So I was very much looking forward to it. It was also the first time I'd ever been out to Alexandra Palace. It was one of those places that I always thought was an absolute nightmare to get to without ever actually having been there. So there's a few things that were there over the years, and I looked at them, I thought, oh no, it's just too much of a pain to get there and get back in an evening. Well, it turns out I was completely wrong about that. It's not too much hassle to get there at all. It's just a bit of a tube trip and a change to the overground, and you can get there from central London in about half an hour. So it's absolutely fine. Nice little walk from the station up to the complex itself, and they had a nice little bar area there which was perfect, and the theatre itself was really nice. It's got a lot of atmosphere to it. As I said, it's called the Victorian Theatre, so you can imagine when it dates back from, and they've left a lot of the deco and that feeling to the place. He was actually doing 2 gigs that night, an early and a late one, so we got in there for the early gig. Now, our friend who bought the tickets, you couldn't actually pick where you sat. They just basically gave you the next available tickets. We could not have had better tickets. We were right in the middle, facing the stage, but on the first section of the raised part. So we had an absolutely perfect view. We were right next to the sound man, therefore the sound was brilliant as well, spot on from where we were. I'd only heard a couple of tracks off the new album. I'd not managed to hear the whole thing by the time we went along to the concert. One thing that Kelly did as well, we got a message a couple of days before the gig telling us that there was a ban on mobile phones and that we'd be given a plastic bag to seal our mobile phone in when we went into the gig. They actually said in the email because he doesn't want any images or recordings getting out of the show, which I think is partly true, but also at the start of the concert, when he did his introduction, before he even started playing songs, he did thank us for abiding with the phone thing. And his point was, and I kind of get this, he was like, there's lots of bad things going on in the world. It is a bit depressing. Come here, let's lose ourselves in the music in the moment for an hour and a half, and then you can go back to social media, whatever after. And I think he's right, you know, it was great. Everybody kept their phones away, so everyone was just fully engaged in the performance, in the music, in what was happening on stage. And I think it worked really well. So fair play to him for leading the way with that. The album itself is amazing. There are some fantastic songs on there, and the gig was set up perfectly. He started off with the piano-based songs with him playing the piano. Then he switched to guitar as it went on. Towards the end of the gig, they were mostly not quite ballads, but quite soft songs generally. And then they did get a little bit rockier, a little bit more Stereophonics-esque as you got towards the end of the concert and those tracks on the album. And he did come back out for an encore as well and played a stripped down version, just him and a guitar, of Maybe Tomorrow, the Stereophonics hit, which was great. His band was made up of a string section, a drummer, he had an organist and a couple of percussionists. Oh, and also he had a bass player called Richard Jones, who you also might recognise from the Stereophonics. He was with him. Weirdly, I've got a slight, very odd connection with him in that my uncle used to manage a boys' football team in which his son played for a couple of years. I think my uncle always hoped he might get a free ticket to a Stereophonics gig, but he never did. Anyway, it was a great night watching Kelly Jones. If you can, check out the album. I'd recommend it. It is really, really good. And predictably, after we'd finished at the concert, we did go and get some food. I booked the restaurant, so therefore it was a celiac accredited place. Now the gig overran slightly, so me being the conscientious citizen that I am, rang the restaurant to let them know we'd be about 20 minutes late. And the bloke on the phone said, "That's fine, I don't think it'll be a problem." When we got there, there must have been about 15 tables available. So it wasn't a problem at all. In fact, we did have a 3-course meal and we were the last ones in there. And you could tell the staff were quite keen to get home. They delivered our food very, very quickly. And my girlfriend was the last of the 4 of us to finish her main course. The second, and I mean the second, she put her knife and fork down, the waiter was over clearing the table. They were not messing around, but we still, well, 2 of us at least, still had to get our dessert in. I think they must have had a party when we finally left. And it wasn't late. We were gone by about 10:30, 20 to 11 at the absolute latest. But it was a great night out, brilliant gig, followed by some nice food with some great company. What is not to like? Perfect, in fact. Last Saturday night, I went to a leaving do in the London Bridge area of the capital for my friend's brother. Now, I've known his brother since he was about 9 or 10, I reckon, a lot of years now. I remember when he left school, he went to college to do a graphic design, computer engineering degree. In fact, while he was at college, I got him to design my very first website, which he did a brilliant job with. It was fantastic. It looked great. I could update it. I could do everything I wanted to do with it. And I paid him in a couple of crates of beer. That's all I gave him for his hard work. He was 18 at the time, so grateful for that. To be fair, he didn't want anything. He was happy to do it for free and use it towards his coursework, but at the same time, he did such a good job, I had to give him something. Well, fast forward several years on, he has made a great career for himself in the world of graphic design. He's done brilliantly. He's recently just got married. He's bought his first house and was planning on living in Brighton. And then just after he'd bought his house, he'd been approached by Apple and asked to interview for a job they had available. Now, he only bought the place in England because it looked like he hadn't, unfortunately, got the job because they'd gone through some sort of recruitment freeze. The second he'd bought the place, they got back on the phone and wanted him to apply for this job. I think he had to do something ridiculous like 20 interviews or something mad like that, which just seems insane. Anyway, he got the job. He's going to work for Apple in LA for 1 year originally, and it may be longer. Therefore, he had the leaving do last Saturday night, so I went along and saw him. I think the last time I saw him might have been his 30th birthday, which was about 8 years ago now. It was great to catch up with him. He's looking so well and doing so great as well. To be basically poached to go and work for one of the big tech companies in the world shows how good he is. And I also got to catch up with my mate, his brother. Really good bar as well. He clearly knows the London scene well and knows how to pick out a nice, cool bar. So that was a fun night. Last Saturday, Tottenham Hotspur, when we played Burnley, the players did their lap of appreciation after the match. It's been an interesting season. There's been many highs. There's been quite a few lows. I am fully behind the manager, Ange Postecoglou. He, I think, has done a brilliant job in his first season with the issues we had, the fact he needed to change the squad and get the average age down, the fact we lost Harry Kane a week before the season started. So overall, I've been happy with the season. I've renewed my season ticket. I will be going there once again next year, so bring it on. It's going to be fun. I mean, we have still got the small matter of the final league game of the season away at Sheffield United tomorrow. But to be honest, I'm not bothered about that one now, really. Hopefully, we can go out with a win and we'll come back and see what happens next year. That's just about it for this episode. Just a quick reminder that you can hear my radio show Saturday afternoons between 2 and 4 at radio9springs.com. That is it for now, though, for definite. Thanks for listening. Look after yourselves and each other. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.